All right, so I'll continue. So, I have studied strong leaders since I was very young. I actually got into history in third grade. We did a unit on ancient Egypt. We went to it's called the Royal Ontario Museum in downtown Toronto. It's still there, I think. And they were doing an Egypt exhibit, ancient Egypt. We saw the mummies and all that stuff, and then and that the mummy shaped coffin, whatever it is. I became highly fascinated with ancient Egypt. That entire unit, I was actually into the study. As I grew older, I got more fascinated with history, and in particular, I was interested in military leaders, right? And the reason was that military leaders were known as conquerors. I'll throw some, Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, but all over the world, different leaders. I'll be honest, I was actually studying Montezuma, who was the Aztec king, over Hernan Cortez. I was not interested I didn't like Hernan Cortez at all. I thought he was an evil man. This evil man is coming from this powerful, rich country to take over these poor, indigenous people and take all their gold. He's an evil man. And that is how history painted him. He was painted as a very evil man, okay? Like, remember Pirates of the Caribbean 1, it's supposed to be Cortez's gold. The gold that cursed that pirate ship was Cortez's gold that he stole from Montezuma, and Montezuma had the gold cursed. Okay, that's in Pirates 1. Okay, that's how big it is, right? And the funny thing is, never is Cortez's picture shown or anything said about him. The man must have been very scary and dangerous because I can't find any real information on the guy. Other than he took some conquistadors and conquered Latin America, I don't see anything on the guy. But history painted him as a very evil guy. Now, the child, I'm not gonna go with the evil guy. I wasn't exactly some kind of villain when I was a child. So I felt for Montezuma and the Aztecs, and I felt like these European settlers and colonizers were evil and bad. When I started getting older, especially when I traveled to Colombia, in my first week, I just kept reading up on Cortez. It's crazy because, okay, so I had this obsession with, I had this goal created where I had to go outside of Canada and the U.S. I had to, because I've been going to the U.S. all the time. I've been to Vancouver. I was like, you know what? I gotta go to and it wasn't Latin America. I gotta go to any country outside. So I thought about, I'm like, okay, where am I gonna go? Well, the cheapest one right now is Cuba. I go to Cuba, and I'll tell you, I'm sleeping there at night one night. I wake up at 2-3 in the morning, and I'm like, where the hell am I? And I'm scared, but I'm not scared. Like, I'm scared, like anxiously scared. Like, holy shit, I'm sweating. It's hot. I'm sweating, and I'm just like, where the hell am I? And I literally felt like I was back in the pirate days in the Caribbean. Like, I felt like that. You will feel that in Cuba is a scary, scary place, man. Don't get fooled by all this tourism stuff. Cuba is a scary place. It was a haven for the Italian mafia before Castro. Before Castro, Havana and Cuba was a big haven for the Italian mafia. They did all their money laundering in Cuba. It was a big thing. Castro's the one who kicked them out. But I woke up and I was like, you know what I mean? Like, they've got all the alcohols, like Captain Morgan's and this and that. All the alcohol has got like pirates on it. You know what I mean? And boy, was it scary. But when I went to Colombia in the first week, I started reading, and I became obsessed with Hernan Cortez and the conquistadors. Kept reading up on them. There's very limited information on them. To this day, I can't find it. Even if you find a book, it just doesn't have the reality and the fact behind it to even be worth reading. But the point is that, yeah, when I got older, it was the other way around. It was like, okay, I'm gonna leave Montezuma here. I want to be on the side of Hernan Cortez. You know what I mean? The only person who kind of gained like a good notoriety was Pharaoh, because Pharaoh was supposed to be evil. He was against everything good, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, people, to this day, people praise Pharaoh. I mean, I was in third grade and they were doing an ancient Egypt exhibit with Pharaoh there. You know what I mean? Oh, that's the Pharaoh families. You know what I mean? Like, to this day, Pharaoh is as a villain, is actually praised because, and if you really want the real opinion, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why. Right? Pharaoh, and I'll give you a secret. How about this? A historical secret for you. As per my opinion, Pharaoh and all these famous people, you know how they became immortalized? And this is obvious through their buildings. That those pyramids that were created were absolutely brilliant, right? The guy that built the Taj Mahal hadn't conquered shit. All he did was build a Taj Mahal. And to this day, they're like, oh, this Mughal built the Taj Mahal for his wife, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? People, a conqueror who actually built like a fascinating building is actually seen as a positive light. In this world, builders, people who build cities, people who actually build things are considered like they're like they are renowned. You know, especially if that building's gonna sit there for the next 200 years or 300 years, they will be renowned because they did this. Building is a big thing. Cortez, I don't think Cortez really built anything. Cortez is more about his own private life. He had his own friends, his own circle, his own conquistadors, his own like he had a big kind of like when I talk about context and connections, that's kind of what he had going on in his life. And he had no desire to be remembered in history. He didn't really give up. Didn't care. Okay, he had his conquistadors, he had his life, he had everything going on, just like I talked about squads and connections. He had all this stuff going on. You know what I mean? He didn't give a shit about how he was remembered. And part of it, I believe, is because he was a genuine villain. He was a kind of a villain. He had that evil in him. You know what I mean? Some of us have evil in us. You know what I mean? Like I talked about the concept of born into darkness. You know what I mean? So some of us do have a natural evil side to us. You know, we are genuinely evil. You know what I mean? And that was Cortez. But yeah, I studied all these personalities, and it got to the point where I had put my expectations so high, and I was trying to destroy my expectations in order to conform. Now, the conformity that was going for me in my life was to get into the business school and to do business and get into business. That was my conformity, and I was trying to trash all these dreams I had. You know, throw all these people. At that time, it wasn't Cortez that was one of my inspirations, but I had all these inspirations like Napoleon and Alexander. And I was like, dude, I gotta throw this in the gutter, man. If I do not throw this in the garbage, if I don't destroy myself and destroy all the stuff I built up, these crazy fantasies of taking over the world, I was like, if I don't throw it away, I'm never gonna get into reality. I'm gonna live in fantasy forever. And I gotta get into reality. I gotta think about what's ahead of me and in front of me. I gotta do things that's realistic in today's modern world. Okay, so I tried to move towards. I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't, like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I find Hernan Cortez and I go, I can do this. I'm not a builder, you know. I'm not a super conqueror or anything, but Cortez, I feel like I have a real connection to Cortez. If Cortez was alive today, I'd have a real goddamn connection with Cortez. I'm telling you that right now. I know it's a bit of a comedy. It's coming comedically. It's coming out a bit comedically, but I'm serious. If Cortez was alive right now, I'd have some kind of connection with Cortez, man. There'd be some kind of similarities and some kind of connection between me and Hernan Cortez. I'll say that right now. And I mean that, you know, and then I'm not a builder, man. I'm not going to build some fascinating building. Yeah, I like to build a nice luxury 5-star hotel when I'm in my 50s. But, I mean, I'm not looking to build a building like a temple, like a large temple. And then everybody's like, wow, you know, I don't give a shit about that. And I think that's one of the reasons why even after I leave, I may be remembered historically as kind of like Cortez, like this guy that made a lot of money, but he was an evil fucker. Nobody, you know, people, you know, he had his enemies and whatnot, although they were a bit intimidated by him. That's what it is, really. You know, and hey, if those guys that you're being assigned, that are at the lower level, that are taking orders from this higher level, if they feel like people in my world are too intimidated to fuck around in the world, maybe they deserve something like that too. Anyways, I'm done. I'll probably give this a bit of a rest. Maybe, give people a chance to watch this video before I post the next one. All right.